Let's say hello to Bruce Leroy. There he is. Hello, Alex. How are you?
How's it going, Ariel?
Good to talk to you again, my friend, and congratulations on the win. It seems like I feel like it's all coming together for you. That was I heard you say afterwards maybe your best performance you felt. Is that an accurate statement of all your fights in the UFC? Would you agree with that?
I would say for the fight itself, yeah, it doesn't get necessarily better than that. I mean, we were able to walk out within the first round, didn't get touched at all, no injuries whatsoever, and come out with the bonus. So it was a very good performance. I would say I can't say it's my best performance. You know, my best performance would I wouldn't know what my best performance would be. I would, you know, I feel like my best performance would be somewhere in the gym, probably.
Okay. We're not privy to all of those. We don't get to see those, but you definitely seem on point. And what I love so much about it is, like, if I was just turning on the TV or ESPN Plus and missed the fight and saw your interview with Felder, I would think maybe that you lost or the fight was a draw. Like you don't get too high, you don't get too low. You were like super calm. Said that like you want to feel the same way that you do going in as you are going out. Has that always been the mindset for you?
That's always been the mindset that I was trying to achieve, you know, that I'm trying to achieve all the time. And because life is going to go on no matter what, whether you win or whether you lose, people are going to go back to work tomorrow and they're going to go about their own busy lives. So I do want to revel in those moments in the moment, but afterwards is like, you know, to celebrate something you did already done and not celebrating it in the moment is kind of living in the past for me. To live in the future would be to worry about an outcome. And I don't want to do that either. So I want to go in there just living in the present. And I celebrate every punch. I celebrate every movement that I take, that I'm able to do it. And that is my celebration, the actual action in the deed, not what comes afterwards, which is just the results.
Do you not allow yourself to smell the roses, to kick your feet up and be like, man, I did that, you know, to...
Oh, yes, of course. I revel. I revel in my victories, but like it's in the moment. It's in the moment. You know what I'm doing in the moment. Like every time I land a punch, that's a celebration for me. I don't know. Like it's weird. Like for me to celebrate something that could happen to anybody or anybody could do. I don't know. Like it's not that special to me to win fights. To fight is something special for me. So to actually do that, to see my movement in action is more of a celebration to me than actual like cheering after the fight and everything like that. And it's kind of an energy retention so that I can save it up for the more meaningful things in my life. Why? I don't know. Like we give a lot of energy away celebrating things that are ultimately do not progress our spirit to a higher function.
And by the way, you know, and I totally understand and respect where you're coming from. Not everyone can do what you did on Saturday. I hope you recognize that. Like, I can't do that. 99% of the world can't do that. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So it is special and it is worth celebrating. What are those things that are worth celebrating? As you said there, you want to keep that energy. What are those things?
It's what I do every day. Like being able, I think what are worth celebrating is being able to draw breath into your lungs, being able to get up, being able to be able-bodied enough to perform at such a high level. Like these things should be celebrated every day. Like the way my mind thinks, the way I'm able to understand things and perceive things. I know sometimes it's not like how everybody else can. So to me, that's something that I would love to celebrate every single day. I'm alive, man. And when you're alive, you're all in it. There's no backing out of it. And the fact that I can do things even afraid and still go through with it, it's a celebration in that. Like it's a power that's beyond me. It's a power beyond anybody's comprehension. And we just gotta kind of revel in that. And that's every day in life. That's every moment in life. And if we're not celebrating every moment in life, then we're missing out on a lot of it. Just focus on goals.
I love that because I heard someone ask you, I think it was after the fight, it might have been before the fight, like, what are your goals for 2023? And you were like, I don't have any goals. And you just said like the journey is what you love. And I feel like we lose sight of that. You know, I want to get to this place. I want to do this. I want to do that. And we don't think about all that time because really that end point is the shortest thing that we're actually doing. It's the journey that if we're not enjoying and reveling in that, then the whole thing is for naught. Have you always had that mindset as well? Like enjoy the journey more than the end goal? Or is that something that you've learned over time? Because I do feel like we've watched you kind of grow up in front of our eyes because you've been in the UFC now for so long.
Yeah, I guess you can say like I've always had that mindset, even if I didn't know about it. And I can say everybody has that mindset, even if they don't, even if they say that they don't, that they're goal oriented. It's bullshit, for lack of a better term. And I'm gonna explain to you why. And this is why people can achieve so many things and become successful, but still unsatisfied. Because they're living for the goals. And once you reach the goal and you don't have another goal to reach for, then you're depressed. Ask fighters when they don't have a fight to battle in. Don't you hear them talking about how depressing it is, how boring it is? Because they're focused on just the next big thing. If martial arts was your life and it's your lifestyle, I'm never bored because every day I go to train, I get to try something new. I get to do what I love and I'm involved in that journey. So I'm never satisfied either. I'm never going to get to a point where I want to stop because this is my life. It's not something I do. It's not something that I'm trying to do. It's something that I am. And I think we miss sight on what that is, what that really means. And in the most simplest forms, being human is something that I am. It's not something that I'm trying to do. It's not something that I'm trying to achieve. So being kind and being compassionate is not something that I have to try to do because I can perceive that just as myself, as a human being.
You mentioned being scared a couple of times, and I don't want to, misconstrue this. Like you were like, I get scared. Why do you shake your hands there? Why do you rub your hands together? I love that. Why do you laugh? Why are you laughing?
Well, because I have to wait till you finish your question.
Okay. That makes me want to root for you because like I'm a very anxious person, right? And so I try to for a moment put myself in your shoes. I'll be like, I don't know if I'd be able to like physically walk out knowing that's why I have so much respect among the many reasons why I have so much respect for fighters because I don't possess that DNA to go out there in front of people and potentially get knocked out, potentially get beat up, submitted, punched in the face. And so when I hear someone of your caliber, this always resonated with me with GSP, who would tell me many times, like before a fight, he would throw up. He would look at himself in the mirror and be like, I'm not like tough enough to do this. And then eventually he would go out and he would look incredible. So when I hear fighters say that, like yourself, and there are few and far between, not a lot of people would admit it, even though I would guess that most probably feel that way, it actually makes me relate to you more and be like, oh, wow, he actually does have some fears and he is scared of getting punched. And so I noticed you say that and I wanted to give you props on that.
Well, yeah, every fighter, every person is afraid. Everybody is. Anybody that tells you otherwise is lying to you dead in the face. I don't care how the act that anybody puts on, you're afraid. You're in there with another person that is good as you or better, that's willing to take your head off. He's also afraid. And that fear is what makes you sharp and dangerous in the first place. If you weren't afraid, you're not going to take anything seriously and you probably get knocked out really fast or you get choked out really fast or you're going to look like you don't belong there. Fear keeps you alive. It's been keeping humans alive for millennia. That's that's for sure. What's the first things we develop when we develop society?
I don't know. Tell me. Weapons. Right. Yeah.
Fear. Because of fear. And that's one way that we can manifest our transcendence of fear is through building of weapons. Another way is martial arts. The first way was martial arts, building your body as a weapon in order to transcend that fear. Or at least if you are scared, you have the capabilities of dealing with that fear whenever it comes to a confrontation or whatnot. But everybody's scared. But like I said, after my fight, courage is not always there. But if you honor yourself and if you honor the God within you and if you honor your opponent, if you honor the situation, then you're going to move even through that fear.
Now, where did you think I was going with the question?
Oh, I wasn't thinking you were going anywhere with the question.
Okay.
It's a subject that I like to.
I love talking about that. Yeah, I love talking about it because I feel like we don't talk about it enough, and it humanizes you guys. It's like the one thing we can relate on because I can't relate on kicking someone in the head and knocking them out. I don't know what that's like, but I know what it's like to be afraid. I know what it's like to be worried. I know what it's like to be anxious. And you seem like you're always so calm, cool, and collected. So to hear you, I guess, feel comfortable enough to say that, to admit that, is very admirable to me.
And I guess to specify it is like my body feels fear, my mind feels fear, but I don't, or my true self, my, my innate self, my intrinsic self does not feel fear. So I dwell in that self
Okay.
so that I don't have to go through the suffering of what my body and my mind is going through, fearing the worst. I allow my body and my mind to do what it does, and I dwell in a very safe place of my true self that does not feel no fear because it knows that it's never ending.
Um, what is the biggest difference between the Alex Caceres that I'm talking to today and the one that we first met on The Ultimate Fighter so many years ago?
Time, I guess, not really big of a difference. I've always had a very weird way of looking at things. I feel my path is inevitable, that I was going to end up here regardless, and I'm going to end up somewhere further than here regardless. It's inevitable. Like I honestly believe that. I know that I'm falling into a pond like a rock. There is no obstruction. So in a weird way, even when I was younger, you could say I saw this part of me already existing and I was just catching up.
Do you even know what that path, like, do you know where it's going?
No, but I saw my face and it looks crazy.
What do you mean? How did you see your face?
I have like crazy deja vu sometimes, or like I would call them like premonitions. Like I can see myself in the future and I can see that I'm older and that I'm doing something similar. I'm doing something, but I can't put a pinpoint on what date it is, but I know it's coming.
And when you say it looks crazy, like, what do you mean it looks crazy? The way you aged?
Oh, like my eyes,
Wow.
like my eyes. I have more facial hair, a little bit more. I'm a little like I don't know, like a little unkept, but I'm doing well.
Wow. That is wild. And when you use the word weird, do you believe it's weird or do you think that the world believes it's weird?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both because I grew up in the society. So a part of me sees that I don't fit in for the most part, and then I can associate myself with being weird, even though I don't feel weird in my body, in my own self. I don't feel weird, but I can see where I may look weird because I don't necessarily cater to the casual demographic.
Do you really feel like you don't fit in? Like among who? Among
Oh no, yeah, a lot of people. I mean, I do fit in with. I mean, I have very few people that I can relate to, um, and but yeah, for the most part, yeah, I don't fit in. I have a weird way of looking at things. A lot of people. It's very hard for me to keep up conversations with people. With most people,
Sure.
it's very rare that I actually have great conversations with people with open minds or anything like that because some of the ideals that I'll pass on or think about, I guess it's to them very strange of looking at it. Like, for instance, if we were talking about and this is like completely off
I
subject,
love
but
it.
like um everybody thinks that I guess the way that I speak and what I speak about, they want to ask me questions about Black History Month or Black Lives Matter type of stuff, and they think I'm some type of like what is that thing called? What do you call those people? Activists, some type of shit like that. And I don't believe in any of that stuff. Honestly, I don't think any of that is good for any type of movement. I don't think separatism of any sort is good for any type of movement whatsoever. And anything that diminishes anybody's freedom of doing anything, even if it's freedom of expression and speech, I don't care if they're seemingly evil or not, it destroys your movement itself. And I'm sorry for lack of a better term, but it just makes people look like cowards, instead of like facing this adversity for real. And I'm not going to accept your pathway to enlightenment, so to speak, like, oh, we got to do it this way and we got to do it that way. Well, no, we don't. We just got to do it. There is no way of doing something. There is no right way up the mountain. The person that wastes the most time is the man running around the base of the mountain saying you're going up the wrong path. Some ways are going to be harder than others, and some people's lives are going to be harder than others. What we have to do is just have enough compassion to understand that we're all living a different size of suffering, and that we have to make way for each other. If we get in each other's way, we're getting in our own way. When we start involving people's progression in our own lives and it starts to fuck with us, we're getting in our own way because we could just mind our own fucking business and continue. And when we help people further themselves in their goals, we actually get out of our way because and in turn, it helps us further our goals. I've learned more teaching people than I have been taught.
Hmm.
so to like, if that analogy makes sense.
100%. And I love I love the mindset, and I love the way you express it. There is a lot of division in this world. There's a lot of division in this country right now. When you see it, like, do you feel it, or are you so removed from all of it that you don't feel like it? Like, because you don't believe in any of this, because you feel like we should all essentially be one, as you said.
No, I didn't say I don't believe in the separation. I said I don't believe in the movements that are calling,
Yeah.
that are happening now, that are trying to say we're trying to be less separated. I feel it's separating us even more, like the whole feminist movement and shit like that. Like, no, men need women and women men. There is, and no one's being more mistreated than the other. And we saw that with like with that girl who dressed up like a man for 2 years and ended up killing herself because men were treated so poorly in this country. And the men that the feminists are talking about are like the top echelon of people, the 1% of people, that most men don't have those lives. They're miserable, they're lonely, you know what I'm saying? They don't get chicks, they don't make money. And then same thing with females, you know, they're in the same boat. And the females that men are talking about are a very small percentage. Most females want men, they want to be taken care of, they want to be acknowledged, they want to be respected. You know, they don't want to have to go out there and work for their fucking selves and support themselves. Independence is how would you say? It's like a fallback. It's like, it's the only thing I got left because I don't got nobody. So I'm going to pretend to be proud in that shit. Men do the same thing. When men get hurt, what do? They isolate themselves. I don't need nobody. Well, now that's what women are doing. I don't need nobody. No, wait, hey, we're all hurt. Let's just communicate with each other because we do need each other. Men and women go further than just men or women. Children that come from houses with men and women go further than just men or women. There is not a better parent. There is not a better sex. If we don't work together, then we're just not better.
How do you feel about religion?
Well, with religion, especially when it's indoctrinized religion, and it's what do you call that? I forget the word, but religion. There's a big distinction for me from religion and spirituality.
Okay.
You know, religion's for immature people. You know, when you're maturing, you're going to be more spiritual. There is no source of anything that isn't the source. You're not going to, I can't, that's also separation right there. Because like, for instance, like Christians, not all of them, there's some great ones and there's some great Catholics, great Jews and everything. But for the most part, in every religion, hey, be good to everybody as long as they're like you. But if they're not, try to convert them. And if they don't, then fuck them. And when God speaks directly, he never said any of fucking that. He gave you free will for a reason, you know? And no one is denied complete liberation in the end anyway. I don't believe that. So with religion, I think it's a way to separate people. It causes you to think with a filter. So if you were human and all children are perfect, right? A child does not need to think about what would Jesus do to be a good person. It already knows how to be a good person. You put a child inside of a crib with a rabbit and an apple, it knows what to play with and what to eat. Everything else is taught afterwards. So that's my problem with religion. Spirituality is not taught, it's natural.
And how do you develop your spirituality? What would be the best way? Like, how do you become more spiritual?
The best way is never to lose the child, but that's impossible because with the shit around us, we always lose the child. So the best way to get to spirituality is coming back to that child. Remembering what you love to be, what you love to do before anything got in your way. It's very hard to do because we forget who we were when we were children. That just unfiltered happiness, joy of experience. And even when we did go through pains, you know, we handled it at that moment and then went on with our lives. We never dwelt in the past. We kept going. You ever see a children get hurt? You know, they cry for a little bit and they go right back to playing. Somebody tries to bother them, they defend themselves for a little bit, and they go right back to playing. But then again, like, look how all these, like, when you see these Chinese movies, these Shaolin monks and whatnot, like how they act. It's like children. They act very peaceful and joyful throughout life, and when someone tries to fuck with them, they fuck them up and boom, and then they're back to being kind and joyful again. Right. And that's the way we're supposed to be. I'm not supposed to carry any any bad emotion with me when I'm performing an action. You know, I like that. I love that quote that says, "I don't get mad, I just get physical," and it's very true. Things that happen are things that happen, and that's what we're doing. It shouldn't relate to how we feel.
Do you have kids, by the way?
No, not yet.
Okay. Do you want kids?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as like it does not pertaining to martial arts, like nothing athletic. When are you your happiest? Like, what would you do? Time off, you just fought, you need a little bit of a break. I know you love to train every day and I know you have a gym and all that stuff, but is there something not related to martial arts where you're at your happiest, your most peaceful, you know, that type of state?
Yeah.
Thank you, Abe. Was that Abe?
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
When it comes when am I most happiest? I'm never, I'm sorry. And that goes back to like, you know, when you're talking about, oh, well, Alex, you don't seem too high or too low. You seem to be like in the mid, like, that's when I'm most happiest. That's when I'm most happiest, when I can find the baseline and everything, you know, where I'm not pulled to one side feeling too good and I'm not pulled to one side feeling too bad. When I'm just being, you know, it's kind of like feeling like a breath, I guess. Like, think about this. How happy are you that you're able to breathe?
Very happy.
When you think about it.
Yes.
And maybe it's not happiness, maybe it's like a gratefulness. And I guess that's what the feeling that I would feel all the time. It's a gratefulness, is that when you actually follow the breath in your lungs to feel that living energy, that is amazing. That is amazing. And when I actually realize that every second, you know, every time you fill your breath up with a deep breath and it calms you down and it brings you to peace, no matter what you're doing, that the fact that I'm able to understand and realize that I'm able to breathe in life, you know, and express it in such a way, that is an amazing feeling. And that's a feeling that you can carry with yourself every single moment of the day. So, for lack of a better term, whatever you're doing, if you want to be happy, just breathe.
Do you meditate?
Yes.
Every day?
Every moment. Meditation is, people misconcept it as like, I got to sit still and think of nothing. Meditation is to meditate on something, is to actually think of something so hard that you actually become that thing, or you envelop yourself in that thing, or you get lost in that thing. So whatever you're doing, whether it's breathing, talking to you, I'm in a form of meditation right now. It's as if I'm not speaking, it's as if the words are coming through my head, coming out my mouth. But as I choose to do it this way, because it's the very easiest way to convey my truest feelings about any situation. So anything that we do that we're thinking about intentively is a meditation.
And you don't watch any MMA, right? Like, you're not an MMA viewer. You don't follow. You don't sit down.
No.
I gotta watch this fight. You don't do any of that, right?
Unless it's my friends fighting, then I'll watch their fight. But other than that, I don't really care to watch fights. I played the game a couple of times. It's fun, but yeah, I don't. It doesn't interest me.
Do you ever? And I'll let you go in a moment. This has been great, and I really appreciate it. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I hope you have as well. Do you ever feel some sort of conflict? You know, prize fighting, combat sports, MMA, it's all about money and gate and pay-per-view and showmanship and selling yourself and all this stuff. And you are somewhat of a rare breed. We just spoke to another guy who's very much like you. His name is Yuri Prochaska, the former champion, very thoughtful, loves to meditate, things like that. I mean, he's a different kind of breed as far as the sport is concerned, but you guys are not, you know, like all your typical rah-rah fighters. And this whole thing is a money-making machine, and there's all this stuff. Do you ever feel some sort of conflict about your place in all of it, considering what is going on around you? Or are you able to find peace with...
As in what's going on?
Well, you know, this is all business, right? This is all like... We're trying to...
Like me being the way that I am, or the way that I have my thoughts, and then doing the things that I do, it seems as if it's not coalescing so well, correct?
Exactly. Like there's like this capitalist pay-per-view company that's trying to sell and blah, 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 music, blah, blah, and you're just in there. You're in a very zen state. You're extremely thoughtful. You know, like your personality doesn't necessarily fit the mold of your typical ultimate fighting competitor, right? And so I was just wondering
I would have to say that it's just my motivation for fighting was never money. So that it doesn't conflict me with it at all. I mean, I'm glad that I can make a living off of it. That's a wonderful thing, actually. But the motivation for me fighting was never money. And I think that's why, one, I stuck around so long. And another thing is why I just keep getting better, because money, getting paid more is not my motivation. Getting higher ranking is not my motivation. Becoming champion is not my motivation. I understand that all these things are possible, but it simply is not my motivation. My motivation, it's even hard to tell. I say it a lot. I'm still fighting because I'm still scared.
You're still fighting because you're still scared.
Yep.
What do you mean by that?
I don't want to be scared anymore, so I have to fight it out of me.
How much longer do you think you have left in you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my prime. I'm not aging a bit. I feel younger I feel younger now than I was before. Honestly, like I have less injuries. I'm no bumps or bruises whatsoever. I have more energy. I train like a motherfucker. I'm in better shape than I've ever been. I'm stronger than I've ever been. I do Shark Tank rounds with a whole bunch of young guys, and they're all in their 20s or even younger sometimes. And I get them all tired within a minute, 30 seconds. I just don't see myself slowing down anytime soon. Something in my brain, it feels like it clicked in a sense. And I think it's just self-belief, self-awareness. I never had that. I come through a very, very tough upbringing and background that destroys men's confidence. And it was very difficult for me to find that in myself. I had body dysmorphia. I did not believe in myself. I didn't think I had any type of power or strength in my body. I didn't think I was durable or had killer instinct. And these are things that we don't realize what we do to children as parents, as friends and peers when we talk to people in a certain way, when we downplay them because we're afraid of our own shortcomings or things that we never achieved. And we kind of like put that off on other people. And we don't understand like how much of a anchor we hang on people sometimes that slows them down and sometimes just stops them dead in their tracks. And I had to overcome a lot of that. It just felt like not a lot of people liked me so much that it began to not like myself so much, or not believe in myself so much. And that definitely changed. And that's why I feel like things started to become a little bit different. I started to say, for the most part, fuck what everybody else thinks. It doesn't really matter, and really, what do I think? Even if I feel like it's crazy, what do I think? What am I feel like I'm capable of? And even if somebody says like, oh man, I don't think you'll ever be champion. Well, like I kind of feel like I can be. And it's kind of like this bottled up anxiety or this bottled up excitement that's inside of me and it's about to burst. And I'm almost afraid to say it because if I say it, I might ruin it. But I do feel it's right there. Like I'm on the precipice of getting into something great. And I'm almost too excited to blurt it out. But yeah.
And to be clear, you do feel more confident. You are happier. You're in a much better place.
Yeah, definitely. And in a weird way, even though I am in that place in my mind, in a physical body, I'm in more turbulent waters.
Why is that?
And I guess it goes with like the age old thing. The more you start doing good, the more it seems like people try to trip you up and see you fall and stumble. So just try to dodge those feet that are coming out the aisle, jump over them and make a clean pass for victory.
You feel that's happening to you right now?
Oh, yeah. I feel like it's been happening. I just feel like I just stop blaming people for it and just start doing something about it instead.
What do you do about it?
I think that's what I can do. Train, focus, and as much as I can, not worry about it. We complain. We focus on a lot of things that we cannot control in our lives. Like for instance, like people that fuck with us or piss us off. Man, I got two legs. I can just walk the fuck away. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, if you try and touch me and you get in my range, I'll take care of you in a whole other fashion. But if you give me room enough and I don't have to deal with you anymore, then and that's all that it costs to not have you in my life anymore, then that's a great price. And I will walk away because it's not worth it. And a lot of people are not meant to realize it in their lifetime. And I don't blame them for that. But at the same time, I'm not going to let you get in my way. And if I have to physically remove you, then I will. But for the most part, yeah, I just try to not give a fuck about what lower minds are trying to do to you when you're trying to achieve something great. it's always apparent that when somebody's doing something seemingly impossible, everybody tries to distract and interrupt them. Just because it's impossible and you never done, I mean, just because you can't do it doesn't mean it's impossible. And you shouldn't distract or disrupt the person trying to do that.
Amen. And that's why I have a lot of respect for what you do. It is impossible to me, but I'm not trying to disrupt what you're doing out there. And so great to catch up with you, Alex. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on the win. Fantastic stuff. And keep being you, my man. It's great to see you kind of develop into yourself and be in this happy state. We've been following you for a long time, so it's a beautiful thing to see, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
There he is, Alex Caceres, who had that big win on Saturday. A fascinating human being.